ready, Dan?
I need a bigger briefcase.
Sure.
All
Getting there.
Is there Wi-Fi in here?
Okay, thank you everyone for coming tonight for the planning board. We appreciate the attendance and your interest in the town's business. I'd first like to start with just letting you guys know where the emergency entrances are, exits. There's one right behind our table here. There's one at the door that you came in, and then there's one all the way back at the end of the hall. All right, so let's just stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we could just stay standing and have a moment of silence, for those who can, let's have a moment of silence for our servicemen that are active service in our country right now. Thank you. All right, so the first item on the agenda will be the Woods at Hemlock, the review of the minutes, excuse me. Did everyone have an opportunity to review the January? Should we do it at the same time, or are we going to do it separate? January 5th?
I don't know, were they all
right.
were the three here at those meetings?
I was not at the January meeting.
All right, so you can't do January right now then? Right.
Unless-
He wouldn't be able to vote on it because he didn't participate in it, so
Right.
it couldn't be approved.
All right, did you have an opportunity to review February's meeting
Yes.
minutes? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Make a motion to approve the February meeting minutes?
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that passes. Was Peter in, was he at January's meeting, do you recall, or?
I think it was too cold still.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Pete.
Well, we can just, do you have a printout of the meeting minutes right now? I can look in my email, see if I got it. We can ask him if he remembers being here January too.
I don't think he's been here in the last.
Pete, you
two
weren't here for
meetings.
the January meeting, right?
For which?
January.
No, I missed January.
Okay.
We'd have to have Fay here to vote on that one.
Thank you, Judge.
No worries.
So we'll have to do that next time.
Yeah.
They voted to approve February.
All right.
Unanimous, 3 votes.
All right, first item on the agenda, the Woods at Hemlock Hollow.
Do we need to open a public hearing, or?
Let them do a presentation first, and then we'll open it up. If you can just give us a brief presentation to the public, and you can aim that towards the public, we're pretty much familiar with it.
All right, so Woods at Hemlock Hollow. It's a 4-lot subdivision off Hemlock Hollow Road. It's a 10-acre parcel. The applicant, J&J Holdings US LLC, is proposing to subdivide the vacant parcel into 4 single-family residential lots. It meets all zoning requirements. We're not asking for any variances. The minimum lot size is about 2 acres. All lots are over that. So each lot will have its own driveway, as shown here, and these are the home locations. It needs on-site water and septic, and we're pretty far along with Health Department review of the septic systems. We drilled a test well on this lot, so right there, And air test provided 12 gallons per minute, so that's quite a bit. We're still going to do a 4-hour stabilized drawdown test to ensure that there is enough water. So we're proposing to give a portion of the property to the town for the maintenance of Hemlock Hollow Road. It's an old road, it's a pretty narrow right-of-way back there, so we're going to be 25 feet from the center line to the town. I think what else? That's pretty much the gist of it.
Okay, thank you. All right, do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Also move.
Second?
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Okay, so I see there's a lot of people here, I'm assuming, who would like to speak on this application. So just a quick reminder, there's a 3-minute rule, and that's mostly so everybody has a chance to voice their opinion, voice their comments. And I think if we can just keep it to 3 minutes, if there's time afterwards to re-engage someone, we can do that, but we're just going to, try to do this efficiently, but allow everyone to have a chance to speak. So can we, who would like to come up to the podium first and speak on this?
Did you actually open it? Did you vote to open the public hearing?
We did.
Yeah, they did.
Yes,
So
you-
just for the record then, Cheryl has just let me know also that the certified mailing and the advertisement were done correctly.
Great, great. And you're first, you can come on up. But please announce your name and what else do we need, the address? Or your name and address.
Well, I don't need the mic, because I'm...
Yes, you do.
I do?
You do.
All right. I don't know if you want that.
Sorry, yeah.
What, talk to you?
Yeah, we have to address the
Okay,
board.
my name's Elaine Moss. I live on 9 Hemlock Hollow Road, and basically I just have 3 quick concerns for you. One is when, I know they're going to do the construction, that's fine, but when these huge vehicles come down the road, which is really, really narrow, I know they have to come down the road, but they can't, I would like it if they did not park there, because I can't get out to doctor's appointments, you can't fit. My neighbors are trapped way down the road. The other concern is garbage. Twice, I think, Stephanie? I don't know. Twice the garbage wasn't picked up because they were in the road. And the garbage truck, you know how they come down they go cha-ching with the hand like that. It's only on the right side. So when they go down the road, they can't turn around. There's no room for emergency vehicle, turn around, anything. So they back all the way up and go to the end of the road more near Civil Lake, which is wider, and they back into another person's property who's doing very badly now and probably will not be with us very long, so I don't know what's going to happen to that property. But they've been kind of not legally backing up into his property and turning around so they can get the other garbage up the top of the road so the hand can go that way. But if you have all these new houses, I don't know where the garbage, how the truck is going to turn around and where's the garbage going to go. So that's a big concern for me because I go nuts if they don't pick up my garbage. And that's basically all I had. Oh, and with the snowplow can't turn. It goes backwards too. So just so you know about the end of the road, okay?
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Can we get another candidate up at the podium? Bill?
Bill Crane, 254 Gardner Hollow Road. I read the November minutes, and there was a concern about the trees, and there was a request that they cut down fewer trees from the board in November. I don't know how many trees are planned to be cut down, and if there's been any attempt to reduce the number, and I'd like to see the data on that. The trees add beauty to our whole town. They prevent soil erosion. They are homes for wildlife. They're very valuable. I personally don't want to see any trees cut down. Part of the reason is our defense against global warming. I want every town to do what it can to prevent global warming, protect everybody, do its part. Although we've had a very cold winter, the nation has suffered the second hottest temperature in the winter, second hottest winter on record. Los Angeles is over 100 degrees. San Francisco, which never gets over 60, has been over the 80s. I talked to a friend last night. Utah has had no snow at all, and this threat is real. It's real. Young people think that we're betraying them, but surveys in the Lancet of 16 to 25-year-olds say that they feel humanity's doomed. Half of them reported that they're scared to have children because they don't know what kind of future they're providing. So I think it's incumbent upon us to protect every tree we can, and in this case, they help preserve the rural character of our town and make us proud to live here, happy to live here. I would specifically ask, how many trees are getting cut down? What's the data there? Has there been any what I would call improvement in terms of reducing the number of trees? Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come up? The gentleman over there, I saw your hand come up first.
My name is Michael Nowak. I live at 2 Hemlock Hollow Road, which is the property that borders the northeast corner of the proposed subdivision property. I have concerns similar to what Mrs. Moss expressed, which is concerns regarding the road itself. It's a narrow road. Obviously, construction involves a lot of heavy traffic, so I'm concerned about maintenance of the road. I'm concerned about the heavy traffic, what that will do to the road. I'm also concerned about water supply. Well, I appreciate very much knowing that the test well yields, I believe the gentleman said 12 gallons a minute was the recharge rate. I remember the number 12. I don't know if there's any way to predict at all, but I can only express my concern what the addition of the 4 new wells will have, what impact it will have on the water table. It may not be possible to predict that. I really don't know. Figuring probably 4 new households is going to be about 12 new people. That's about the average for our town, is about 3 people per household. Again, it's a concern. All I can do is express my concern. Whether or not it can be addressed, I don't know. But I'd be remiss if I didn't at least express it. No, that's it. Thank you for your
Great.
attention.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Sir, right here, and then you're next after.
My name is James Moss. I want to give you guys this just in case I can't get what I need to say in 3 minutes.
Okay.
One for the secretary, right, and one for the engineer. Thank you. And I hope I have one to read. Yes, I have. We have the property directly opposite the development. Our frontage is contiguous almost with the entire development.
Sir, can you just state your name and address into the microphone so they can record it?
My name is James Moss. I live at 9 Hemlock Hollow Road.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're right opposite the development. All of the driveways will tee into our property. So we have a heightened concern because of that reason. I appreciate that the developer is trying to retain the aesthetics of the woods environment, and we have an old stone wall that is from the original 1830s. Our house was built in 1830, and we really came up here because of that. We've been up here about 40 years, and we are appreciative that the developer is trying to retain that feel on the property. The road is a big problem. It is 12 feet wide where we live. No big trucks can make turns. Unfortunately, the town of East Fishkill took out a cul-de-sac and put in a T that is woefully inadequate for any truck. No truck is capable of turning around down there without destroying the grass of my neighbor, or if they try to back up in my driveway, they invariably dig up the driveway one way or the other because they're big, heavy trucks. So we have a concern about the size of the road and the accessibility for emergency vehicles and big delivery vehicles. Second point, I'm kind of going out of order on my written comments, but the potable water supply, our well had to be re-drilled the last time there were developments on either side of us. Now, they're pretty far away. You wouldn't think it would have an impact, and maybe it's coincidental, maybe it's not. We had to go from 200 feet to around 350 feet. I believe the test well is on the order of magnitude of 400 feet plus, so that's where they're getting their 12 gallons per minute from. I don't know what the recharge rate is. I don't know how you measure it when you're sucking water from down that deep, because we're getting water at 350, 400 feet, something like that. So that I would like to have all of that data available publicly for review. I did a lot of engineering work when I was a bit younger. I'd like to take a look at the data if I may. Frontage requirements is the other thing. I noticed at one point in time there was a frontage requirement. I don't know if there's still a frontage requirement in the town, but some of this frontage is very small. There's a 41-foot frontage and something, it's variable. Let me see what I got here. 164 feet is the first lot coming in the road, 41 feet the second one, 136 feet, and 63 feet. So the 420 feet or so that we have is broken up oddly, and unfortunately, the driveways are going to be a difficult challenge for us and a difficult challenge for any service vehicles that are coming in for that group of houses. It's been a while since I did any
All
public
right,
speaking.
I'm sorry I have to cut you off. You're beyond 3 minutes at this point. If there's more time afterwards, we can have you come up.
Thank you.
Sir.
I would also like to submit something
Sure.
that would be in the speech.
Okay. Name and address first, please.
Of course. My name is Dan DeMassimo. My family and I live at 10 Tower Road. My primary concern is Lot 3 on the proposed plan. Lot 3 appears to be the most problematic of the 4 parcels. Rear lot configurations are often used to maximize development in a land that may not otherwise comfortably support additional homes. In this case, the plan indicates the need for frontage relief because the lot does not meet the town's standard frontage requirement. When subdivisions require dimension relief to function, it raises the question of whether the lot is truly appropriate for development under the existing zoning framework. The proposed driveway for Lot 3 would extend across much of the property to position a house much closer to Tower Road than Hemlock Hollow. This lot would require clearing nearly 650 feet just to provide a driveway. That's over 2 football fields of construction in an already sensitive area before finally reaching the proposed build site. This creates a lot of impervious surface area, which requires more and/or larger underground stormwater management structures. These structures are currently proposed to be installed in the steep slope areas of Lot 3, creating unnecessary impact to the environmental feature. The home placement is very concerning. According to the plan, construction would occur just over 40 feet from the intersecting point of 4 separate properties and would share property lines with 6 neighboring homes. The home is proposed close to the rear property line, leaving the future owner with small backyard. Any patio, play structure, or pool will likely encroach on the rear yard setback or be close to the historic stone wall and compromise the privacy of the backyards of Tower Road homes. Doing this will lead to zero buffer between neighbors, only creating further conflict and possible resentment towards this project. Most important are the physical constraints of the land itself. The site plan indicates that a substantial portion of Lot 3 has slopes exceeding 15%. Development on steep slopes typically requires significant grading and disturbances of existing soils, which can increase erosion risk and alter natural drainage patterns. When steep slopes and drainage corridors intersect, runoff can potentially affect neighboring properties. This is particularly concerning in an area that already experiences consistent ground saturation. I provided photographs of this on the property near the rock wall that is just southeast of where the Lot 3 house is proposed to be placed. Parts of this land were previously deemed wetlands about a month ago before the most recent change. I suspect there is a reason for that. After reviewing the applicant's stormwater pollution prevention plan, it appears that the area is a type D soil. This soil has high runoff potential and low infiltration rates. Add in a plan to grade around the house to shed water away, I believe this is pushing damaging runoff into inappropriately close downhill adjacent properties. In this area, there are structures such as sheds, in-ground pools, and previously noted historical stone wall. Given the steep slopes, the plan to remove natural water filtering plants, the proximity to adjacent properties, the soil along impervious surfaces like the driveway, and
Excuse me,
previous
I'm sorry to
designated
cut you off,
wetlands.
but We've hit 3
Ah,
minutes.
come on, I gotta get to the resolution. Let me get to my quick resolution
I have
on
to be
how
fair
this
to
can be
everybody.
done.
If there's time afterwards, we'll bring you back. Thank you.
Okay, one final note before I leave. These factors suggest that the lot is being engineered to fit a house rather than demonstrating that the land naturally supports one.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to come up and speak? Fellow over here.
My name's Stephen Dockery. I live at 11 Hummock Hollow Road, which is the last house on the street. We've had issues like with the traffic and the garbage, so I'm not going to repeat that. But my issues are that the driveways are very long for this development, so I'm assuming the water's going to drain down. And the way the road curves now, it's pretty much the Moss's house and ours. When it gets heavy rains, the drainage at the end of the street, I don't know if you guys have spoke with East Fishkill about the drainage at the end of the road, but it's not adequate for adding more driveways with a lot more runoff. So I'm afraid, because my septic is to the right of that drainage ditch, and that drainage ditch has been problems over the years. I've done some stuff to try to mitigate my septic fields from flooding. So I just don't know if you take that into consideration. And also when guys are snow plowing, because those driveways are long, you're not using a snow blower, they're gonna be pushing all that snow out to the street, so.
What property were you on?
I'm 11 Hemlock Hollow, which is the end of the street,
Thanks.
so. And just my thing with the well too, my well's on that side of the street where these houses are, so I'm just worried about running out of water at some point, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add?
Yeah.
Excuse me,
Dan.
sir. Really quick, you're the parcel that's in East Fishkill then, at the end, okay? So when did the town do, if you don't mind me asking, when did the town change that cul-de-sac to a T that was mentioned?
Yeah, we moved in 2013, and it was already there.
Okay, thank you.
They did it to, at the time, they developed that house, Namath developed that house and went to East Fishkill and got the turnaround changed from a cul-de-sac to a T and ceded the property that was previously town right away to the Dohertys.
But East Fishkill didn't care, they didn't want to do anything.
It was approved by a fire inspector, I believe.
Okay, that's good information. Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak tonight? The woman in the back?
I'm Lisa Edelstein. I live at 14 Tower Road, and I would just like to reiterate the concerns about the trees and how many would be cut down. Personally, my property abuts a portion of this development, and there is a steep slope from the intersection of the proposed development and my property line, along with adjacent properties. that slopes down very steeply to where my home is. And again, without knowing more detail about how many trees would be cut down, what sort of buffer there would be, I want to just reiterate the concerns for drainage, for runoff, and potential for flooding and erosion at that point.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, anyone else would like to speak? The fellow with the red jacket on the left-hand side.
Hi, my name is Michael Rothman. I'm at 6 Tower, one of the properties that touches on that lot number 3. And I just would like to echo the concerns that the other gentleman had, who would so much detail, obviously put a lot of work into it. I'm also just wondering about the practicality of that very long driveway from Lot 3 down to Hemlock Hollow Road. You know, in terms of, is it practical to keep it cleared and when it's snowing, or you know, is there going to be problems just in paving it or whatever? And I assume that the location of the house is far enough away from the property line to meet the laws, but it does change the nature of all of the houses on Tower Road. Had that buffer of trees in the back, and that's going to disappear. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next, anyone else would like to speak? The woman in the back.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Clark. I live at 26 Tower Road. My property also abuts one of the houses. I'm not sure exactly which number it is, but it's the final one. I moved in March 2024, so haven't been there that long. But I will say that in the past 12 months, we spent mitigating the impact of water that we had. Every time we have rainfall, we have a lot of water coming towards the house. So my number one concern is control of erosion, trying to limit the number of trees that we're eliminating, and just keeping in mind that the slope is already problematic for the folks who are on 26, who are on Tower Road, in addition to, previous comments about the fact that when we looked at this house, when we chose this house, we chose it for the very fact that it was very private behind us. Loved the rural nature of that. It's very quiet. But primary concerns are, of course, controlling for flooding and making sure that we're doing everything we can to keep erosion from occurring. So,
great.
That's it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? We can take you back again, and this, you can go after him if you don't mind. He's going to speak, and then I'll let you go again. I'll let you finish your statement.
Appreciate that. Thank you for the extra time. So yeah, I was talking about how the erosion and the introduction of the steep slopes. So my last paragraph. If the board still believes the parcel is suitable for a 4 subdivision and intends to move forward with this project as a fair and equal compromise for this community, I humbly request that the board and the applicant agree to move the house location on proposed Lot 3 to greatly reduce the problems evident in the proposal. This could be solved by moving the house forward about 200 additional feet to the flat area in front of the site. Doing so will reduce the driveway length, the associated impervious surfaces, and required stormwater detention. Additionally, this will allow placement of the underground stormwater structures away from the steep slopes steep sloped areas and provide a good-sized backyard for the future residents, while still preserving the current privacy of Tower Road properties. I understand this is not an easy task, but it can be done since the site is already being artificially modified and the plans allow for septic pumps, which makes septic flexible. As written, this application is a design choice optimized for cost and convenience, not what is best for the established community. Moving the home would significantly reduce the negative impacts on the surrounding neighborhood while still allowing development on portions of the property that appear more suitable for construction. Thank you.
Oh, could you just, Cheryl, do you know who that is?
Yes, Dan DeMassimo.
Okay.
Dan DeMassimo, 10 Tower Road.
All right. Thank you, Dan. You can come up and finish your statement.
Okay. James Moss, 9 Hemlock Hollow. We bought in 1982, and it was a fixer-upper. And I spent weekends for about 30 years fixing up an 1830 house. We fell in love with the area, we fell in love with the community, and we'd really like to maintain the flavor of the community as much as we can. Just to touch on some of the things I said before, the potable water is a concern. if they're doing their test and they're 400 or 500 feet down, I'm sure they can get the flow. The question is whether my 350-foot well is going to retain its capacity to deliver water for me. Frontage requirements I already talked about. I thought there was a 75-foot frontage requirement. Perhaps I read an old regulation. Perhaps that could be revisited, because I believe, assuming that we don't want to stand in the way of progress, but I think the idea of moving those driveways further to the north, it would be a good idea. And the road is so small on my half of the road that getting it up and getting those driveways closer to the wider portion of the road, I think might be a good idea. Finally, I mentioned, we already talked about East Fishkill and the problems with the cul-de-sac that was there, and basically the small T makes it impossible for large vehicles to turn around, and the narrowness of the road further up makes it impossible for them to navigate, so they have to back down. Any large truck backs down and comes out, garbage trucks, snow plows, what have you. Final point, I have an old artesian well that was obviously there when the 1830 home was built and was the primary water supply. It is right on the property line. I'm sure whoever drew the property line post 1830 didn't really think about the well, and it's almost exactly on the edge of the well. Large trucks, big trucks with drilling rigs and what have you, trying to back up and turn around into the development area. I came out in my underwear to try to get the guy away from the well, because that would have caved in. And finally, I talked to the town supervisor. I said, this is a dangerous situation waiting to happen. Town supervisor came out and instructed the crews to stay away from the well. But I understand you have a public road. It's unfortunate that when the road was built in 1830, they didn't have any specs to support it sufficiently for the artesian well that was there. Thank you very much for considering these issues.
You're very welcome. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on this application? Anybody else? Okay. All right. All right, I guess I always get caught up on this issue, but is there any reason why we wouldn't close the public hearing?
That's in the board's discretion. You've had a number of residents come out and speak. There may be some responses that the applicant can make, either in a written submission for the next meeting, so the board can hold the meeting, public hearing, adjourn it till the April meeting. You know, if the applicant can address the comments now to your satisfaction, the board could then close the public hearing tonight. Oh, you can't hear me? I'm sorry, Joe. The board could then close the meeting tonight and leave open a written comment period for additional comments. It's really, you know. Can we reopen a meeting if we close it? Or? No, once you close the public hearing, it's closed.
I see. All right, well, discussion with the board. How do you guys feel about,
I think we should leave it open. It's a lot of feedback.
Yeah, I agree.
okay. Pete?
Okay.
I agree, I agree. So we would be adjourning it to the next meeting?
The board would move and vote to adjourn it to the April meeting.
All
I think
right,
it's April
so I
18th.
think what we should do is, I'm going to want you to respond to as many of these comments as you can, and then, but we'll first adjourn the public hearing to the next meeting, but then I'm going to ask you to, respond, and I took notes down, so if you miss anything, I'll bring it back up. So do I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing to the next meeting?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
For the record, that's April 16th, 2026.
All right, so if you wouldn't mind, I don't know if you want me to ask you the questions, or do you want to just give all right, so, number one, there was a lot of comments regarding construction impacts. There's some great concern about the road, and first, I'm certain the temporary construction impacts, but then the future impacts to the people who live on the road for, future trucking and traffic that's on the road. If you could just address, how do you intend to, number one, mitigate the temporary construction impacts while it's being constructed? And how do you intend to deal with the road and in a way that's going to allow for the volume of traffic that's going to be created as part of this subdivision?
Yeah, so to mitigate for construction impacts, I'll just say we did prepare the SWIP, so that's going to deal with erosion sediment control issues. It is going to be typical construction traffic for normal homes. I don't know any way to reduce that. The road is narrow here. We are deeding 25 feet from the right-of-way to the town. There's the possibility, there is a beautiful stone wall along there, which it would be nice to retain, but possibly some of the trees will need to be removed for site distance requirements for the driveways, and potentially grading a shoulder in that area to allow a little more width. That might be a mitigation measure that we could.
Yeah, if there's an area in the front that allows for your trucks to stage/turn around, where they wouldn't do that to prevent them from doing that on neighbors' properties.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. They're not going to be allowed to go on, they're not going to be constructed to go on neighbors' properties. That's an issue, violation, or just call somebody if that happens, because
Yeah, I know,
they're
certainly
never
they're not
supposed
going
to do that.
with the way the current road is.
Yeah, so-
There's a temptation to back into someone's driveway or to utilize the shoulder of what seems to be an insufficient road width,
Yeah,
So-
maybe it's a wider entrance for some of these driveways, and that could potentially give more maneuverability.
Yeah.
Stabilized construction entrances a lot of times they're wider than the normal entrance, so we could make those a bit larger.
Right.
What width is the construction entrance?
Sorry?
What width?
What width?
Is
So, yeah, so the driveway is 12 feet, but then you've got, the town requires, I think it's a 14-foot entrance. It's either 16 or 14, but we could just do a 16-foot entrance for the first 25 feet to allow for maneuverability.
All right, does anyone have any other questions regarding impact? Yeah, I do want to ask Dan if you would just check into what they're describing as the impact to local transportation, local traffic, and whether the current road is suitable to handle 4 additional lots.
So we did refer this over to the highway department, and I asked the highway superintendent if we could possibly meet. So I'm sure I'll have those conversations with the highway superintendent as we go along here. We wanted to, really verify driveway locations and site distances and whether or not there was drainage, things that needed to be done for those driveways with the highway superintendent, but I can add this into that conversation.
All right, great, thanks. Regarding tree removals, can you tell us how many trees are being removed? And have you reduced this by any since our last discussion?
Yeah.
And maybe show the public where the trees are proposed to be removed?
Sure. Okay, I don't have the plan that has the ones being removed here, but it's.
Is that in this, all right.
I mean, it's wherever the grading, homes, septic systems, and driveways are. So we did a survey of trees on the entire site, and I want to say, I think there were about 900 trees on the site, and the current proposal is under 100 to be removed. We did kind of jog the driveways around to avoid some of the larger trees as much as possible. We cited the homes and locations where there were less trees. So we have taken steps to minimize tree removal as much as possible while getting 4 lots.
All right, so can you, for the next meeting, bring us the actual data on how many trees are being removed and be prepared to show us, or show the public?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Also, there was several comments about the buffers between the existing houses and the proposed properties.
Yeah.
Would it be possible for consideration for replantings and/or adding to the buffer for what's being stripped away?
Yeah, I could talk to the developer about that, but I'm pretty sure he'd be open to it.
Especially, again, there was a lot of conversation with that tonight.
Yeah, I mean, most of the homes are not very close to the property lines. The one on lot 3, right now, it's shown at about 60 feet. There's a 40-foot setback. I mean, we can probably move that forward and still make the septic work with 10, 15 feet. So you're getting close to twice the actual required setback. So we're fully in conformance that way.
Now, the idea, one of the gentlemen, forgive me for it, I don't recall the name, but he was mentioning about bringing it 75 feet up. That would interfere with the septic, I would imagine, right?
That wouldn't work on this lot.
But can we rearrange the location of the septic? Switch it back?
So I can show you why we can't on this lot. So this is a wet area. Well, it's not always wet, but you can kind of see it's like when it rains, water goes through here, it's pretty flat. It's not a wetland, it's, nothing like that. It just gets somewhat wet in there. That would be the worst place to put a home.
Sounds like a bad spot for a septic too, though.
But that's why the septic is on the side of the hill a little bit.
All right.
That's why it's kind of tapered over there. And that's been reviewed, and the health department agreed with that location. We did soil tests that supported it, so that's been fully designed. So the water channel area, it's kept open, it's kept clear. We don't want to put anything there. We don't want to put the septic, we don't want to put a home. There's a culvert here to pass the water that's been and will continue to go through that same spot. So
There's a current culvert there, or you're
no,
proposing?
No, we're going to put one on the driveway.
Okay. I would just ask if you could look into rearranging that house in accordance with the public's comments to move it further away from the property line, and to see if there's a way to do it so that it's less impactful.
In addition to that, what Jason brought about the buffer with the trees, behind that lot with the houses on Tower Road, another concern is that apparently that's a steep slope, and they're also worried about erosion and runoff, with trees being removed, so.
Yeah, this is really the steepest part right here, and there's no construction proposed over there.
And what direction is the water going on that slope?
It's going this way.
Okay. All right.
Robbie, I just...
Yeah, sure.
So one of the other questions that came up, again, it's more for just an explanation while we have the opportunity here. With the lengthy impervious surface, in this case, the driveways and everything like that, that is all incorporated in the water control plan. Obviously, we went as part of your review and/or approvals, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's why we prepared the stormwater pollution prevention plan. We're doing what's, basically, it's just for construction. It's erosion sediment control practices for construction.
So that's all for the public's knowledge and everything, that's been factored in. I know ideally you'd like it to, but that's part of what's been part of this with those driveways.
Yeah, we're meeting what the DC sets standards for this, and we're meeting those. That's how they're designed.
It is a long distance. I see in the grading plan, you're pitching the driveway, so the water's going to go, it's not going to concentrate on the driveway and go flying down the driveway.
Right.
But even with that distance of impervious surface, I would be concerned that the side that you're pitching it to will begin to collect water. And how are we putting in a swale? Are we making sure that it gets diverted so that it doesn't end up down at the bottom onto Hemlock Hollow Road? And you don't have to have an answer to that now. That's just a concern I'm expressing to you and asking you to address. Is there anybody else who wants to ask questions before I go on with some others?
How many test wells did we actually perform around the property?
So we were only required to do one.
Where did we do that actual test well on the property?
Right there. Yeah. And it's at a depth of 500 feet, and it yielded 12 gallons per minute, which is a lot. Well, that's the air test. So there's two different tests. That's the air test we're going to do. The actual pump test that the health department requires is stabilized drawdown test, and that measures how much you can pump without the water within the well dropping. So basically how much you can pump without kind of draining the aquifer. That's the idea of it. So that's how you mitigate for neighbors and their wells.
Does that well test require you to test like a neighbor's well at all? It's just testing?
On site.
Yeah. Is that a possibility to, not that I'm going to ask you guys to allow someone on your property, I just want to know if that's, can they do a well test and then also be testing if there's a drop down in a neighbor's well? Is that something that's been done in the past?
Obviously, again, that's governed by the health department and whatever they need, whatever they feel they need, but it can be done, yes, it can. We've had other subdivisions in the past where there's been multiple test wells on that actual subdivision, and they'll monitor the water level in the well while they'll pump the other, and they'll see if there's any drop in the static level.
Yeah. Would you have any objection to doing that?
I can talk to the developers and see, I mean, yeah, if that's something that is going to satisfy you.
Yeah, that would obviously be between the developer and the neighbors, if you guys felt you wanted to be assured that your well supply isn't going to be impacted by this. So in accordance, what he's saying is the wells are tested to the extent that they basically draw down the well at a certain rate, and they're determining how much they can draw down without affecting the total aquifer in the area. So that I understand.
Yeah, and I mean, that's all the health department would require for this.
Yeah, all right.
So the request though for the data on the recharge rates and that kind of, those types of things, can we make that available? Because that was requested.
I'm sorry?
The data, there was a request, I believe, by Mr. Moss.
Oh, yeah, once that's available, once the pump test is done, I'll share that with everyone, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That kills my notes. I know you got more.
Yep. Let's just make clear all the frontage requirements and the rear requirements. I know there was some question as to whether they're in violation of any of the setback requirements. Can you attest to that?
Yeah, I can.
So we discussed it earlier, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to look into it. R90 requires 100 feet of frontage, but Beekman permits rear lots, which have different bulk area requirements. So I'll look into that, and I'll write a memo to the board.
So only Lot 3 would be subject to the rear lot?
Appears to be one rear lot
Yeah.
with 3 others. So the other front-facing lots would need minimum frontages of 100 feet. And if they don't meet the 100 feet, they would require variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Right.
So that would mean, unless I'm reading this wrong, Lot 1 would be at 75, right?
I'd have to take a look. The bulk table I see shows that the 3 lots, other than that rear lot, are compliant with road frontage.
Yeah, they all have over 100.
All
except for
right, I
lot
saw
three.
I saw that the 75-foot marker here. That's what I was asking.
Yeah, and the rear lot allows, it's a way that you can develop in these larger parcels in the rear part that would potentially be cut off by smaller front lots. So it's pretty common, but yeah, it's a 40-foot section that's allowed in the code. 155-41, I think it is.
Correct.
Yeah.
What about this location of a subsurface stormwater structure?
There's no subsurface stormwater structures.
All right, so I think what he might have been referring to was
He was
the
talking about the
septic?
septic system, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
He might have been talking about the swale in East Fishkill off of the Doherty property. That's where everything seems to flow down to.
No, he was referring to lot number 3, and he was talking about a subsurface structure under the driveway. That's,
About the disruption of the steep slope, no matter what it is, if you're putting a septic there or you're putting stormwater.
Okay.
You're still interrupting the people.
right, and that's my next question, is the steep slopes. We have a steep slope ordinance. I see that you're clearly locating the vast majority of the features to areas that are not in the steep slopes. I recognize that, but it's not completely, it's not 100%. Obviously, this gentleman's right, the septic field is located partially on steep slope areas. You know, I think we want to, as a goal, try to avoid steep slopes altogether. I'm a little bit alarmed that you don't want to locate it in that flat area because it may be wet. That might be true. I could see what the contour signature is. And of course, we want to avoid wet areas for lots of reasons. You know, are we sure this is not a wetland in that area? Has anybody looked at, other than sending like the jurisdictional determination to DEC, has anyone done any kind of wetland delineation?
Yeah, we had a wetland biologist go to the site, and he wrote a letter, it should be on file, that there are no wetlands on the site. DEC said the same thing, so.
All right. All right, thanks for bearing with me. I want to just make sure all the public's responses are, you know, given a chance for you to respond to. I think the only other thing I had was, potable water address. Yeah, I don't know. I'll just say, you know, I think in light of the steep slopes and the need to create this rear lot, it seems to me like we're pushing we're trying to wedge a 4th lot in where it may not be possible. So do you want to have another opportunity to revisit the layout of the subdivision so that you can fit this in with lesser impacts to the steep slopes and maybe not having as long driveways?
So, I mean, there's minimal impact to steep slopes. It's not like we're excavating that area, we're putting fill on top of it and we're lessening the slope. So we're not digging into steep slopes. This area over here, I think that's 10 to 15% in the code. This is, I think it's over 25%. We're totally avoiding that. That's legitimately a steep slope. 10 to 15%. I mean, driveways can be 10 to 15%. It's just, I don't think it's that steep, and we're missing it mostly with the house. If I push the house over here to this area where there are no steep slopes, we're getting closer to these properties. We're out of the steep slopes though. But, we're closer to those homes, so that's more of an impact.
All right. Do I have any other questions or comments from the board?
Again,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
okay. Again, I would still share the previous comments, though. For Lot 3, I know where we're saying we're avoiding that with the house and everything, but again, the proximity to the wet area, or the area where it's going to channel and drain based on what we're seeing here, that is also a concern. It does also feel like, with the long driveway and the placement and everything, it is like we are trying to wedge that in there. So it's definitely a concern there. It's just my feedback.
Cool.
Sure.
Eric?
Yeah, the only thing, you covered pretty much all my notes as well, so, but just in regards, Dan, I know you said you're going to be meeting with the highway department and getting their input. You're also going to get input from the fire department as well, correct?
Yes, we have preliminary from them, but we'll be meeting with them in the April meeting as well.
Great. Thank you.
So from, just again, ballparking this while we're looking at this, because that does bring up a point. If a fire truck, are they going to be able to make that turn to get into that long driveway into, say, even 3? 2 as well, but make a cut in, get all the way in, or are they going to be trying to fight this from Hemlock Hollow and then drag line all the way down into that property?
1 minute, ma'am. Please answer a question. Yeah.
I would just say it's going to be the same for every home on Hemlock Hollow, how it would be for these.
I thought there was a 25-foot rule.
We're making the driveway entrances.
No, I realize because of the way the lots are set up and everything, and they're obviously almost basically locked. But again, I'm just asking, what is that total footage for that driveway on 3?
This one, it's probably 600, 650, something around there.
So 600 feet? And do we think that would actually be able, the truck would have to stand on Hemlock Hollow, right? And then they would drag 600 feet?
Drive in, we've got the fire apparatus operating areas graded out next to each home.
Okay.
For the code, so they would drive up to the.
I just wanted to ask that because I did see the knockouts for them, but again, based on a lot of the feedback, that's why I wanted to ask the question because, again, dragging 600 feet of hose in a situation like that is not practical.
No.
Okay.
You might want to take a turning template from one of your design vehicles and see how that would actually traverse into the site.
Yeah.
And that might be part of where, if you were talking about widening out the bottom of the driveways, that might be helpful.
Yeah.
I just have to make an announcement. We've closed the public hearing right now. I'm sorry, but we can't take any more comments. But we did adjourn the public hearing to the next meeting. And so if you'd like, think about what you want to say. You could come and speak at the next meeting. Or if you'd like, you could send a letter. You could write to the town. But we've already adjourned the public hearing, and we're not taking any more comments at this point. But we'll be happy to hear any comments you have at the next meeting. Yeah, and the only other thing is, I think it's a good point that someone made. If you're plowing down these driveways, there's going to be a temptation to push the snow across the way. Again, on a road that would appear to me to be insufficient, to handle more, snow removal operations or whatever. Maybe if you could think about how you would mitigate that impact, I don't know if you put level area at the base of each driveway and, somehow give the snow plowing person a place to put the snow. Is there any other comments?
If you had a wider entrance, you could do that.
Yeah, that wider mouth would give you kind of that place to push it off.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, and then I'm just going to ask the town attorney and the town engineer if they have any comments at this point.
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
I think we covered a lot of the things that are already in my letter as well. I think the biggest change was once they actually put the steep slopes per town code definitions, and now they have to apply the standards from 155-53, so that's a lot of the things you guys were already asking him about, so they'll have to prove to us through the standards that we'll have to review. I believe the house on Lot 3 is barely into that 15+% area, so in order for the wetland, or the steep slopes to be regulated by the town, they have to be 10,000 square feet or larger in area, but that's also a combination of any of the three categories. If they're adjacent to one another, it's the total area. So I think that there are two pockets of the steep slopes, and those are those that are between lots 3 and 4. So I think that those will be regulated. The onus is on the applicant to give us the square footages of those to make sure that they are regulated, and then we move from there through the standards of 155-53. And with regard to some of the other things, and it's not in my letter, but, there may be ways to consider, some rain gardens or some Coltech chambers or something to kind of mitigate some of the drainage, try to get some of it into the ground. Whether that's just the roof leaders or some of the driveways or something to that effect, you may be able to find some ways to help mitigate some of that stormwater runoff that people are concerned with.
Yeah.
All right, so I think, you have a bunch of comments from us here. I'd really like to have a more in-depth, comprehensive discussion on the tree removals when you come back next week. So if you could provide us with, bring the map that shows where the trees are being removed, how many trees are being removed, and what you've done to try to reduce that impact. That'd be really helpful.
Okay.
Okay? All right. We have lots of other business. I want to say great comments tonight, very astute comments. We appreciate that. And really, we haven't closed the public hearing. There'll still be some more time to discuss the project. So please feel free to come back to the next meeting and we can discuss it some more. Thank you. It's the third Thursday of every month. April 16th?
April 16th.
April 16th.
Thank you.
All right. Where's my agenda? All right, next on the agenda is
Schindler Potter.
Schindler Potter, lot line realignment.
Wow, look who's here. It's
What's
been
up,
a long
strangers?
time.
I know, man.
Where you been? Yeah.
I've been hanging out in the drain, having fun.
Oh.
No, I don't think that's fun.
I'm gonna run down and get my power cord, because
Uh-oh.
give a second for these people
Yeah.
to clear out anyway.
Every week, every month, it's a packed agenda.
It's always interesting.
It's always fun.
Just give me a minute to...
16 feet seems for the road, for the driveway.
16 feet?
That's what he said.
I think that's a pretty big driveway for one house.
600 feet.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
you're saying
it's-
the length.
But it's
600 feet.
with the road.
That's what I'm saying, again, it's like the width
Yeah,
of the
no.
truck. I mean,
Right.
Thanks,
what do
thanks,
you
guys.
even put in like a $50,000 driveway to support, so it's gonna sink.
Just 1 minute.
Oh, man, I wouldn't want to have to plow that.
If you guys wouldn't mind carrying on your conversation outside, I would appreciate it. Dan's gonna be back in a minute, but I guess we can get going, right?
Yeah, let's get it started.
Want to roll forward?
Yeah, he'll be back in a sec.
Good evening, Brian Stokosa, Dane Stokosa Engineering. We're here tonight for a lot line realignment between two parcels. Total parcel area is 24 acres. Each parcel contains an existing house and associated improvements, well and septic, driveways, that kind of thing. The object is to transfer .69 acres from one parcel to the other. Just simply moving a lot line realignment, no disturbances proposed, no alterations to any of the existing dwellings is proposed. It's just simply moving a lot line to add a little bit of a rear yard or side yard to one house and take away from another. So that's basically it. Each parcel is going to be over 10 acres in size after the lot line realignment, so just simply moving aside a rear yard line. That's it.
How did you get a half size? One second, Brian. Did we all get half sizes, or? Do we get a half size of this, or?
The 8 by 11. Do you want the big one? 11 by 17. No, you need a magnifying glass.
You take the big one, I'll take the little one.
I got it right here. I can look over your shoulder.
All right, okay. I'm sorry, it's easier for me. No, I'm not, I was just wondering if there was half sizes in the package. All right, right. Okay. So you're here for the public hearing?
Public hearing, just to get some public comment, go through some of the technical comments. I mean, with some towns, the lot line realignment process is a little bit streamlined. I think with Beekman, it's wrapped in with the subdivision code, so there's a lot more technical aspects, even though we're just doing a simple motion of swapping a line over. So, yeah, we can run through the technical comments afterwards, but just here to get some public comment.
Sure. Would you mind just pointing on the map to the public and showing them where the line is shifting?
Sure. Try to capture this too, because I don't want him to get mad at me. Let's see here. We have existing driveway. Here's Hines Road. Existing driveway comes in, it splits. We have an existing residence. And basically what we're doing is there's a lot line right here that separates parcel 1, parcel 2. We're just going to take that line and kind of move it in a southerly direction. There's a small fenced-in little riding area there. We're going to try to incorporate that onto the parcel to the north. So we're taking area from the south and adding it to the northern parcel.
Great, thank you, Brian. All right, can I get a motion to open the public hearing? Oh, well, first question, did they take care of, you got all the mailings? Okay, great. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Okay, at this time, I'd like to open it up to the public. If anyone from the public has any comments, please feel free to come up, announce your name and your address, and give us your comments. Anybody from the public? Bill? Sure.
Bill Crane, 254 Gardner Hollow Road. I'd just like to know why they want to do this.
Okay. Well, you can explain that right now. I don't think there's a lot of comments, so if you want to...
Like I said before, the reason why we're doing this is we're trying to incorporate a fenced-in riding area, small area, that's on the, let's say, southern part, and just add it to the northern part, so there won't be any trees harmed in this other than the paper that it took to get here.
Oh, okay. Well, that's why you got to give us half-size sets.
That's right, that you can't, they're harder. I can't.
Right. Did you understand what he said, Bill?
In order to get a riding...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so he can have a riding area.
Yeah, sometimes it's for future development. In this case, it's not.
Right, right. Is there any... Go ahead, Bill.
Is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
No development action is proposed.
Right. It's just, we're just adjusting the line. One lot gets bigger, one lot gets smaller. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this application? Okay. Hearing none, just board discussion. I think we could close the public hearing. I think we've given everyone an opportunity to speak.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye? Unanimous? All right, I think at this point I'll turn it over to Dan. We've seen this application at least 3 or 4 times by now, so I'm pretty familiar with what they're trying to do. Do you want to go through your comments?
Just maybe touch on just a couple of them. I mean, there will be some legal documents and things that may need to be amended. There is a question I posed in my letter for the town attorney, which I'll address at some point, regarding the potential of that common driveway and maintenance agreement having to be modified, maybe in particular the description of the area, since the common driveway easement will actually be truncated by the lot line revision. The utility pole is something that Brian's office has been keeping us informed on. They've had conversations with NYSEG. NYSEG is the owner of that utility pole, which is currently on the southern lot, but will be on the northern lot at that point. And so one of the things that was on there, and we just weren't sure, is it almost looked like the picture showed that there was some underground conduit there. So we just kind of want to get some ideas of where NYSEG's easements are, where the overhead wires are, where some of the underground wires are, and make sure that there's no easements required if somebody has to amend their service from that pole and they need to access the neighbor's lot in the future. So that may be an easement or agreement that needs to be put into place as well for any private lines coming off of that line. We did mention in here that the applicant has asked for a waiver of showing the wetlands, state and town regulated wetlands, in accordance with 130-12A and B. And the reasoning was that there was no ground disturbance associated with the lot line realignment, so the board could take action on that today as well.
Okay.
For the board's knowledge also, those wetlands are mapped both federally and by the state and available online through the New York State DEC resource mapper.
So we'd be taking action on waiver of showing the wetlands?
Waiver of the requirement to show the wetlands on the site.
Okay. All right, board discussion? Jason?
No, I was just going to say, if you're ready to make the motion.
Well, I'll just say, I mean, this is a lot line realignment, so it doesn't there's no land disturbance to this application.
We're moving a line on a map.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, before you act, so last time your colleague was here, there was a question about the greenhouse, and it was within 20 feet of the rear lot line. Has that been adjusted? You push it out to make it compliant, okay?
Yes, sir.
And then just, again, discussing with your colleague, if there is any, and I explained this at the last meeting, I can't recall her name. If there's any increase in the intensity of use, such as like for horse boarding, for a special permit, I explained to her that improvements to the driveway will be necessary. So that'll mean bringing it into compliance with the requirements for the emergency vehicle pull-off, potentially improving it, which would mean improving it in the wetland. That can be discussed between the two adjacent property owners, but just to make sure that you're aware and the applicant's aware. Increase the intensity of the use of the driveway, it's going to mean improvements will be necessary.
Understood.
So I'm glad you asked about the greenhouse. Because the greenhouse is within the setback limit, we were asking you how he was going to handle that?
It was at 19 feet, or 19.6 feet. The requirement is 20-foot setback from the rear lot line.
So you move the line or you're moving the greenhouse?
Move the line.
All right. Okay. So now it's in compliance?
It's compliant with the bulk area dimensions.
Great, great. Thanks for asking that. That's great. All right. I mean, I don't have, these were all very good comments. I don't have any other issues. Like I said, I don't have an issue waiving only because the project isn't requiring land disturbance. So I think, can I get a motion to, where's the, just to waive the requirement number?
Of 130-12, A and B.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, pass unanimously. All right, so what's our next, what else are you expecting from us tonight, Brian?
Resolution. Can we prepare a resolution for the next meeting, provided we make the required changes?
For condition final approval?
Yes, sir.
Have we granted preliminary plan approval?
You have not, no.
All
This
right.
is the public hearing, so the next step will be preliminary plat. Again, I can double check the lot line readjustment provision in the code. It would typically be preliminary plat and then final plat.
Okay. All right, so is that, are we in position to move the project for preliminary plat approval tonight?
Yeah, you could. You absolutely could. I mean, it's, I think what Brian's asking for would be, consideration of conditional final at the next meeting. So you could either do the preliminary and the conditional final at the next meeting, or, which they could take some of these comments off of there by then. Or we could do a preliminary tonight and then still consider doing a conditional final.
Yeah, I don't foresee that the design of the subdivision, of the lot line changing, so I'm okay with moving forward on a preliminary plat approval. What do you guys think?
I have no issue.
Yeah.
I have no problem.
All right. I'll make a motion for preliminary plat approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pass unanimously. And then we'll see you next meet.
And so, do you want me to prepare a draft resolution of conditional final approval then?
Yes, please do.
Okay.
And then you'll come back, we'll discuss it, and,
Appreciate it.
okay, great.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, you should vote to direct Dan to draft the conditional final.
Conditional final,
subdivision
okay.
For the board's review.
Do I
at
have
the
a
next meeting.
motion to direct the town engineer to draft conditional final approval?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Seconded by Eric. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, great.
Question for legal. When we do that resolution, you mentioned about the driveway. Is that going to be part of the resolution?
So if any subsequent application, say they want to do horse boarding, they're adjusting the lot line to include a corral that's existing on the southern parcel to incorporate it into the northern parcel. So one potential increase in intensity would be to start boarding horses in the present barn and to operate like a riding facility, which requires a special use permit under the town code. So at that time, just to make them aware, if they did apply for a subsequent special use permit, improvements to the driveway to facilitate the increased traffic and the trailers and horses and people coming up and back and forth down would require the inclusion of the emergency vehicle pull-off, possibly two, but also improving the road to facilitate a fire apparatus, making it all the way up to the residences.
Understood.
So he'd have to come back to us for a special use permit. That's
Gotcha.
that's
I'm
what
not
we-
specifically familiar with the requirements of the special use permit when it kicks in, if there's a number of horses you keep for personal use. However, there is a provision in the code for a riding facility.
Gotcha.
All right, great. All right, next item on the agenda for discussion, Town Center Grove. Hey, Mike, how are you? So if you can remind us, because some of us have really bad memories, what happened at the last meeting and where do we stand now?
So, Michael Bertel, architect for the applicant. So if you remember at the last meeting, I kind of took you guys by surprise by being here for the ARB approval. We were directed by the engineer to show up, and they forgot to tell you guys.
And we thought you were here for the other ones that you're usually here for.
Yeah, exactly. So, so we made the formal submission, for tonight's meeting, because, since we hadn't made the actual submission, we needed to make that for the resolution. But we also, I also designed the sign, the monument sign. So Dan and I have had a number of discussions regarding the sign. We've renovated it. It looks like you have the updated copies. I did bring a larger copy if you want it. I brought an 11 by 17, if it's a...
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Thank you.
A little bit easier to read.
Thank you.
Shows up a little bit better.
All right. Are you okay with that, or you want to see the, that's all right. Or do you want to open up the bigger one?
No, thanks.
Thank you, Mike.
So, you see on the sign, what we have done is we use the historic colors that are closer, to complement the building better. Now, that's why the sign's done in the blues with the grayish letters. And then I pulled an example off the sign company's website to show you what the lighting will be. Instead of using goosenecks, we're using, it's a halo reflected light. It's actually, they put the light behind the letters. So it's not internally illuminated, it's really giving a glow. It's very soft, very subtle, and it's not as harsh as a gooseneck light coming down on it. And, it doesn't cast a shadow on the letters.
Right.
Also, it requires less intensity.
I see. Okay, so the stone, is that like a culture stone?
Yeah, it's a cut stone, which it's the same stone that we're using on the base of the building.
Okay, all right.
So the water table on the building is the same stone. We're trying to tie the two in together.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful looking sign. Does it meet our code requirements as far as sizing and such?
It does.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very attractive. Precast concrete cap?
Yep.
Is that color concrete or just regular concrete, or has
It'll be a grayish.
grayish color? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we can almost go natural with it. I mean, it would blend in, it would look very nice.
Now, how does the cedar wood rails, they don't go through the whole thing?
Yes.
They do? They go through the whole thing?
Yep.
Nice. Okay, I'll open it up to my board if anyone has any questions you want to ask the applicant.
No.
No, I like it, yeah, it looks great. I like the lighting idea too.
Thank you.
This is fun for you, right? This
It is.
This is like a good stuff. This is the fun type of design. Really, Mike, I think it looks very attractive. It's a nice looking sign. I like
you.
the color choices you're making, and you're being very respectful and consistent with the architecture of the building, so I don't really have any issues with this.
Appreciate that.
You wouldn't happen to be able to show it where it's going to be on a site plan, do you?
I don't have a copy of the site plan, I'm sorry, I apologize.
That's all right, that's okay.
Yeah, normally, as you know, usually I'm doing both.
Right,
And this one, I'm kind of,
yeah, I hear you.
so.
We had already agreed on the location for the sign, so that's all right.
The driveway is, if you're staring at the building, the driveway's to the right side of the building and the sign's on the other side of it. So it's opposite.
Gotcha. All right.
And I think it's closer to Sparrow's Nest on
I
that
see.
side of the property.
Right.
And, dark rundle color is the color of the stone.
Yeah. You have I had submitted the brochure cut.
Right. Right, all right. So, I mean, the last meeting we reviewed, you weren't here, but we reviewed the architecture of the building, and I think it's coming back to me now. We
Yeah.
asked you to come back with the sign.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, well, like I said, the other thing too is we had to do a formal submission for the building itself, because we hadn't done the proper submission.
Right, right. So where do we stand with the whole application? Was,
So site plan and special use permit was conditionally approved at the last meeting. So in terms of that, that part is basically set. Part of that resolution was that they'd have to return for the ARB for the sign, the building itself. And then I just realized as I was just reading that resolution from last month, that also it was supposed to be the refuse enclosure. So do you think that the was it dark rundle? That
Yeah.
stone, can that be placed on?
Sure.
The outside of the refuse enclosure? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. You know, normally we use I'm not sure what they did, but normally when I do my refuse enclosures, I'm using a split block. But we can do the cut stone, to tie in, you know, do it on the front.
That's what was actually, it was presented as a regular CMU.
Okay.
And I think the board had some concerns with that. It was going to be a painted CMU, actually. So, I think we had talked about as a board.
As an architect, I take
I know, I saw you cringe, I know. But I think we had talked about possibly a split face block instead. Or it could just be this veneer of this dark rundle, which would tie the water table of the building, the refuse enclosure, the sign all together.
I can, you know, I can work with the engineer to come up with something nice there. You know, maybe we do a water table, then we paint keep this regular CMU, and we match the color of it with the building and tie it in that way.
right, yeah, no, I think that's a good idea.
I was just saying that because we have a draft resolution for the ARB, which addresses the components of the building and the components of the sign, but we could do a friendly amendment to that draft to mention what we would do with the refuse enclosure as well, and then that way it could all be done at once.
For the next meeting, you think? Or you're saying, like,
I was thinking that you could just incorporate it verbally here, and then I would incorporate it in before you sign it.
Yeah, there's a couple of conditions that I've got to add a couple of notes on the elevation, just to call out a couple additional materials, just for record purposing. So we have I have another submission that I have to make, but hopefully we can make the resolution tonight. Not that I don't enjoy your company.
I mean, comments from the board, discussion? You have any problem with just coming up with, directing the town engineer to include in the resolution the changes to the trash enclosure?
There's no problem.
Yeah, I don't see the reason not to come back, as long as we're, you know, explicit in the text.
So, yeah, so I would need to know exactly what we would be doing with that, so we can describe it in the resolution, though. So would it be that you're mentioning you could go back and forth with the engineer? Do you?
Yeah, we can put the cut stone on it, that anything that's visible. You know, because like the rear of it, I'm not sure if we need to put the cut stone on it. But, you know, like the front of it and the sides, we could do the cut stone on it.
So I'm not sure you're going to, how will we know he's going to agree? There's no way of knowing that.
I'm sorry?
How do we know that your client is going to agree to that?
He's here, he agrees.
Oh.
He's here.
Okay. I didn't realize you were here. Okay. All right, so we want you to include modify the draft resolution to include treatment of the trash enclosure structure to include the split-faced stone that is similar as what's shown in the sign, but to be included on all visible surfaces of the trash enclosure structure.
You know, with the split-face stone? Or would it be that, that
the
veneer,
dark rundle stack
veneer?
stone, yes, dark rundle, the stacked stone veneer, dark rundle color.
At the end of the day, actually, it winds up being cheaper to the client than the split block. Split block's not cheap.
Okay. All right. So I'll make a motion to approve the draft resolution with the additional clause that I just mentioned. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous? I think that's it. Anything else? All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Nice work. It looks beautiful.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the comments.
You're welcome. Okay, next item on the agenda, Clove Meadows.
I just realized it's been 25 years since I've seen Graziano touch the zone. The first time I met him, he was looking for a house up here. I just realized it was him.
Oh, I recognize the name, yeah.
Yeah, he's at Tucson Realty.
Yeah. All right, you can go ahead, just give us a summary of what's the status with this project?
Sure, yeah, Matt Town. So Dan drafted a conditional resolution for approval. That's kind of where we're at. There was a comment letter Dan had from, I think, February 29th or 19th, and we...
One sec. Excuse me, miss? If you're gonna have to, can you go outside, please, if you're gonna discuss? Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So we addressed those comments, resubmitted, and yeah, we're here for the conditional approval.
Dan, do you just want to, I think there was a couple things, right? We want to go over the aquifer assessment?
Yeah, so I realized as we were preparing the draft resolution that the board never actually went through the standards. They've been on the map since, January of 2025 or something, but the board has not gone through those standards. So, Matt, you have the standards actually and some responses on the plan. I can show you where they are if you wanted to look at those. But that is something that needs to be formally done by the board, going through the 5 standards of 155-12D.
Okay, just give me a moment. I seem to misplace it.
Let's see if I
Oh, here it is. Clove Meadows?
Yep, and then do we have one of the plans? We might not have the plan actually because
All right.
I don't think so, but I have it on the server here.
So that's somewhere in this it's not in the resolution, right? It's
Matt,
in-
we can have you just run through those 5 standards as well. I think it was on your notes on the cover page there.
Yeah, if you could just,
Yeah, it's number 8 on the site notes.
Yeah, the site has been designed to meet the standards of the Aquifer Overlay District as indicated in Town Code 155-15D. The water supply well pump testing will be conducted to verify adequate groundwater is available for the proposed homes. That was done. We did 3 test wells on the site. Stormwater and wastewater generated from the project will be treated in accordance with DEC and DC DBCH standards. Yes, we prepared the full SWIP to address that, and we got approval from the health department as well for septic.
okay, 1 second. I just want to give our board a chance to respond after each question.
Sure.
So I can read the standard really quick. So the standard
Start with
number
the
1
first one again,
is
yeah.
appreciably altering the subsurface flow of groundwater to private water supply wells and existing and potential public water supply wells. So.
And then why don't you respond? That's a good, better way. I like it that way.
Sure. So that water supply well pump testing was conducted to verify adequate groundwater is available for the proposed homes.
Okay. Does anyone take contention with his response?
No.
Okay, number 2?
appreciably degrade the quality of groundwater through the introduction of sewage wastes, stormwater runoff, liquid chemicals, petroleum products, dissolved metals, or other toxic substances.
So that basically, he's asking, does the project have that impact? But go ahead.
Yeah, so there's single-family homes, and then all the stormwater is mitigated through DEC implemented stormwater management practices, and the SWIP. It's pretty robust treatment that we're proposing on the site. The septic systems are designed in accordance with health department standards, and they've all been reviewed, approved by the health department. And then there's not going to be any discharge of liquid chemicals, petroleum products, dissolved metals, or other toxic substances.
It's a subdivision, yeah.
It's homes.
We're not building a chemical
so.
factory. Right. All right, does any of my board members have any issues or questions?
No.
Okay.
Okay, the third standard, appreciably increase the long-term risk of groundwater contamination through the siting, establishment, or expansion of uses which store, transport, or utilize significant quantities of material which is potentially harmful to groundwater quality.
Yeah, again, this is kind of with the last one, the metals and toxic substances. It's single-family homes, so it doesn't store, transport, or utilize significant quantities of materials harmful to groundwater.
So in the process of constructing the subdivision, there's no need to have any of those types of heavy metal, toxic chemicals, and that's why we wouldn't be endangering the aquifer. We good? Okay.
Number 4, appreciably increase the long-term risk of groundwater contamination through the introduction of relatively small quantities of hazardous or toxic substances which over a period of time may accumulate in groundwater.
So what kind of toxic substances do you think they might be talking about?
I don't even know. What toxic, what does that mean?
I guess if you were on an airport, if this was an airport development or something, there'd be PFAS or something like that.
Yeah, something in a manufacturing process maybe, or,
yeah.
Mr. Chair, you may want to consider too pesticides and fertilizer use and establishing plantings and things like that.
Right. That's a very good point.
Overuse.
Well, and that's really as it pertains to the construction of the project. After that, the owner of the parcel, then he's not, the developer isn't subject to what the owner does afterwards.
There's no HOA on this, correct? Homeowners Association, so it'd be individual lots sold, marketed and sold individually. So there's no coordinated application, so it would be individual at that point.
All right.
So it would be the establishment.
So that's a very good question. Is there an intended use of pesticides, herbicides in creating, say, establishing the turf areas? And
Not that I'm aware of, more than just you fertilize your lawn once in the spring and in the fall maybe, but that's typical homeowner use.
Right, but I'm talking about
During construction.
during construction, as part of the construction process.
Yeah, I don't think so, because, that might make sense if there's poison, like invasive species everywhere, but there's not at this site, so I don't know why they would do that. So, I don't think so, no.
All right. Are you guys satisfied with that response?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so the next standard is appreciably increase the risk of groundwater contamination through the removal of soil, sand, stone, or gravel which provides a protective mantle for groundwater or which is part of the geologic deposits making up the town's aquifers.
Yeah, it's not a mining operation, so it's just the homes, so it's going to be the initial grading and that's it.
But the developer doesn't intend to, utilize existing on-site gravel or something like that. Because some of these soils can be very gravelly, and they may choose to excavate the gravel and use it in the road development. Is that
Right, no, there's no intention for that. The soils weren't suitable for road construction, from the testing that I saw. It could be used for just grading, just around the homes, but that's it.
Gotcha. You guys satisfied with that? Okay,
That was it.
that's it? Okay. So we would need to make a motion to approve the aquifer standards? To approve that the project does not impact our
Make a
aquifer?
determination
Appreciably,
that the project as proposed does not anticipated to impact the aquifer standards or is in compliance with the aquifer standards.
Do I have a motion?
Sounded like a good motion to me.
Did you want to make the motion? Jason already made it. All right, you second it.
That's right.
Sounds good.
All right, motion, Jason made the motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pass unanimously?
Okay.
Thanks.
And another procedural item here, the applicants had asked for, to remove 5 trees, and the board had granted the applicant and authorized the town to prepare a letter on your behalf that did not object to the building inspector issuing a permit to remove those 5 specific trees. Since that was done, the applicant has actually rescinded that by letter to the town. I believe it was dated March 12th. Is that it, March 12th? Yeah, March 12th from Michael Farley, who's the attorney for the applicant. So being that you had resolved to authorize that preparation of that letter, now you may as well resolve to rescind that previous motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to, sorry?
Previous resolution.
I'll make a motion to rescind the previous resolution, providing a waiver to the tree removal, our last resolution pertaining to the tree removal.
It was a recommendation to the building department. It wasn't a waiver from us.
The resolution, as I recall, it was to authorize staff and yourself to sign, Mr. Chair, a memorandum stating that the board had no objection to the applicant applying to remove 5 trees under certain circumstances. So you could then move to rescind, as I stated it.
I'll make a motion to remove as stated by the town attorney.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Was there anything else?
And what we've done is we've actually put those clauses into the draft resolution that you have before you.
Oh, okay. Right.
And there's a number of conditions. I could go through the whereases, would be here half the night. Of all the information and process that's gotten the applicant to the point where they're at, but I do like to normally at least go through some of the conditions of the resolution
Please
for
do.
the record. So prior to the signing of the plat, the applicant shall provide the project plan to the town engineer revised to the satisfaction of the town engineer to address his letter of February 19th, 2026, and any additional comments that may arise as a result of the satisfaction of that said letter. The second condition, the applicant is required to reappear before the planning board if there are significant plat changes. Whether a change is significant shall be determined by the town engineer as a result of satisfying the conditions of this resolution as required. Number 3, formal approval of means for sewage disposal and water supply for the building lots shall be obtained from the Dutchess County Department of Behavioral and Community Health. Number 4, the stormwater pollution prevention plan shall be finalized and the required notice of intent shall be accepted by the town of Beekman as the MS4. 5, any comments from the highway superintendent must be adequately addressed. Just for the record, we have 2 separate conceptual approvals from the highway superintendent on this project already about the road location and the driveways for it and the limited site distance sign. Number 6, the applicant shall provide the proposed road right-of-way offer of cession in a format acceptable for review and acceptance to the town attorney. Number 7, the applicant shall provide appropriate legal documents related to the dedication of road area for highway purposes to the satisfaction of the town attorney. Written confirmation shall be obtained from the town attorney that all documents are acceptable to the town. Number 8, all easements and rights-of-way that are to be granted to the town of Beekman shall be prepared by the applicant for review and approval by the town attorney and the town engineer. Written confirmation shall be obtained from the town attorney that all documents are acceptable to the town. Number 9, a map plan and report for the formation of a drainage district shall be prepared in order to provide an appropriate means of ensuring that the common stormwater conveyance and management facilities are operated and maintained in perpetuity. The map plan and report shall be prepared by the applicant and submitted to the town attorney and town engineer for review and approval. 10, a drainage district shall be created as an appropriate means of ensuring that the common stormwater conveyance and management facilities are operated and maintained in perpetuity. The proposed drainage district shall be prepared by the applicant, submitted to the town attorney and town engineer for review and approval. Thereafter, the applicant shall petition the town of Beekman Town Board to formally create the drainage district. The creation of the drainage district must be approved by resolution of the town board. 11, the applicant shall provide deeds with legal descriptions of the parcels and easements along with TP 584 forms for review and approval by the town attorney. 12, the applicant shall provide survey descriptions of the easements and rights-of-way, the right-of-way dedications, including closure calculations for review and approval by the town engineer. 13, the applicant shall prepare a construction cost estimate that includes all infrastructure quantities as individual items with applied municipal costing data in a table to format as acceptable to the town engineer, who will review and recommend the performance guarantee posting amount. 14, the New York State statutory and town code requirement for recreational lands and/or fees in lieu of land in conjunction with the subdivision shall be met in the form of $60,000 total, submitted in lieu of recreation lands for each of 12 new building lots, accordance with Chapter 75 of the Town Code. 15, any and all outstanding escrow fees related to the planning board review process shall be remitted as directed by the town finance department. 16, after the date the plan was last revised, the owner's certification on all plan sheets shall be signed by the owner and applicant, and all involved licensed professionals shall seal and sign the plans as appropriate. One complete set of paper plans and one complete set of plans on Mylar, both signed by all parties, shall be submitted to the planning department after all revisions have been made for acceptance. Unless specifically noted otherwise, the chairman, as the duly appointed officer of the planning board, shall sign the final subdivision plat after the above conditions have all been met. The conditional subdivision plat approval expires 180 days from the date of this resolution. If the board moves on that would be, if the board moves on this tonight, that would be September 15th, 2026, unless extended by action of the Town of Beekman Planning Board. Then there's also a condition prior to the filing of the plat. The applicant shall post the performance bond or letter of credit in a format acceptable to the town attorney and in an amount recommended by the town engineer for all work related to facilities that will be operated and maintained by the town of Beekman. The performance bond or letter of credit shall be posted within 60 days of the signing of the plat by the chair, but prior to filing of the plat with the Dutchess County Clerk. Then there's another set of conditions that are prior to the commencement of construction activities. The applicant shall provide the town with 2 certified paper copies and 1 electronic copy of the filed plat from the Dutchess County Clerk. The applicant shall establish post-development escrow, which will be used by the town's professionals to address any field change requests in the amount of $2,500, which will be replenished to the original amount when the balance drops below $500. The ENOI and MS4 SWIP acceptance letter shall be submitted to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and coverage under Speedy's General Permit GPO 25001 shall be obtained. The town board shall accept the performance bonds or letters of credit and inspection fees. Inspection fees pursuant to Chapter 75 of the Town Code in the amount of 4% of the performance guarantee will be used to reimburse town professionals for compliance checks associated with the requirements of the approved subdivision. Then there's another set of conditions that are prior to the sale or transfer of any lot. The applicant shall obtain approval of the proposed road name from the Dutchess County Emergency Services and from the Beekman Town Board. The applicant shall petition the Beekman Town Board to accept all easements for which the town of Beekman is party to. The applicant shall provide the town with proof of filing of all required legal documents. And the last is a declaration of covenants, restrictions, and easements or deed restrictions shall be prepared by the applicant and submitted to the town attorney for review and approval relative to the protection of the regulated wetland buffer. Those documents shall be recorded with the Dutchess County Clerk's Office, and proof of recording shall be provided to the town attorney.
Okay, thanks, Dan, very good.
It's a lot.
It was a lot.
Sorry.
Board discussion, does anyone have any issues with the conditions that were indicated, or any other questions that you have before we formally approve or deny this request? You have any questions for the applicant, or do you have any other
What's the
issues?
plan with the 5 trees?
We're just gonna leave them and do it, so we can actually start working on these 2 homes without cutting any trees down. We can build the road all the way up to here without cutting any trees down, so October is gonna come pretty quick.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for your flexibility and sensitivity to that issue for our town, appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Peter, anything?
No.
You good with the conditions? Eric, you're okay?
All good, man?
These are pretty much standard conditions we do on every one of our projects, and we like to ensure that all these formalities are taken care of before, I guess it's before I sign, and then before it goes into construction, then before lots are sold. So I don't have any issues. These are standard conditions, so I'm prepared to move a project to approval. Does anyone want to, do I have a motion to approve this condition as provided to us and reiterated by the town engineer?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimously approved.
All right.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the list is a discussion regarding Cantilino subdivision.
I'm back again.
Now we're getting more of you than we ever asked.
I know, it's a lot to handle.
We're already tired of it.
Brian Stacosa, Dane Stacosa. This is a 20-acre piece on Duncan Road. It has an existing house that was recently constructed. A single driveway coming off of Duncan, going uphill to service the house. This project, this parcel actually has a lot of history to it. We started this project probably 20 years ago with Glenn Vilcek. At that time, we actually had a 9-lot subdivision approved for this piece. It had, I think, about 800-foot cul-de-sac going up, kind of did a switchback, and then we had a bunch of residential homes proposed off of that town road. And we actually went ahead with Board of Health. I think we actually had final approval with the town. We just never filed the map because of the market in 2008, 2009. So there was a lot of soil testing done on this piece. There were a couple of test wells that were put in. They were monitored, tested, and approved by the health department. So long story short, the applicant came along, bought the entire piece, the 20-acre piece, put up his residential house on the site, and he's got a younger son. They're looking to start a family, kind of move up from New York City to where they can actually hear each other. So they like to, live on the property. So what we did is we, showed a 2-lot subdivision. The house would be in line with the existing house. This parcel actually was farmland. And if you look at the 1930 aerials, this entire piece was farmed, even with the grade that it had. And then in about, the mid-2000s, the farming operation kind of tailed off. And if you go up there, you can actually see how Mother Nature's starting to creep back in. Cedars are starting to sprout up here and there. So the intent was to keep the natural character of this piece, utilize the existing driveway that's in off of Duncan Road, and then kind of branch off and to an individual house site that would be, on-site water, individual well, and, have the house construction site there. So from a disturbance standpoint, we're over an acre, but we're under that 5-acre threshold, so we'll do a basic SWIP. As far as soils on site, it's been looked at by the health department. Obviously, we'd have to refresh soil testing, with the health department, and go through that motion. But as far as there being extensive vegetation being removed, again, this was an ag property for a long time. And actually, Mother Nature, this is one side that the trees are actually starting to come back. They're not taking down any trees of substantial character. So we made a couple of waiver requests to that respect. The one thing that Dan did bring up in his letter, and we were aware of, is that there was a New York State DEC hit on a possible sensitive area in the front. Knowing that was on the DEC mapper, we reached out to DEC, submitted a JD, and we should have DEC on site in the near future just to take a look at that area, so that we can address that in the comment letter. But based upon what we see in the existing driveway there, it doesn't look like that area would support some kind of wetland or some kind of habitat, but I leave it up to the powers that be. Now that the snow's cleared, DEC's been coming out the site a lot more now. So that should be in the near future. We should have a decision on that by hopefully the next meeting. One of the things that Dan brings up in his letter is, it's an existing driveway, and we're talking about a shared driveway. There's, grade requirements for emergency service vehicles and emergency pull-offs. So what we did is, in that common driveway, we did show those pull-off areas for fire trucks. And we'll obviously work with the fire department and making sure that they're okay with that. Code likes to see 10% and less, but gives the provision to go to 15, providing the planning board's okay with it. Again, we wanted to try to maintain the rural character of this and the fact that there is an established driveway there. If you looked at sheet 3 on our profile page, we show what a 10% grade would be against that existing driveway going up to the existing house. And if you look at the center of that profile, there's a pretty heavy cut to get to that 10% grade. We're probably looking at an average of 8 to 10 feet that we'd actually have to take out to establish that 10%. So it's a pretty heavy scar that we'd have to put in to maintain that, to get up to the existing home site. So what we did is just, we tried to provide justification that we're keeping with the character of the land, and we wanted to limit disturbance and excavation to the site, but also be sensitive to emergency service vehicles. So the driveway would have to be paved, and we would ensure that those emergency service pull-offs were spaced adequately for fire protection. Other than that, I think that's it in a nutshell. It's our initial submission. We're here tonight to grab, planning board comments and also go through technical comments if we need to with the town engineer, but everything that Dan brings up in his letter is standard issue. If the board's okay with the layout, obviously we've moved toward other agencies, but some of the things that we would have to be looking at is like a shared driveway agreement, maintenance agreement, easements, descriptions with that, but we're a little bit away from that. I just want to make sure, we're going to lock in layout tonight and make sure the board's comfortable with positioning of our improvements. That's it.
Hey, Brian, are there existing pull-offs on the driveway now?
I believe we just have an existing driveway going up there, and I show some proposed pull-offs. I think there may be one couple hundred feet up. There's a small area to pull off, but I don't think it would meet the code intent as far as dimensional requirements, but if you want to take a trip out there, you put eyes on it.
Dan, do you want to?
Because the house was put in as of right. The first driveway, yeah.
Yeah, the aerial actually shows, it looks like they started 2 of them on the emergency vehicle pull-offs. You had done a plot plan for when they did this. They didn't follow that plot plan, but that's what happens when the engineers get out of the picture, I guess.
The house got to where it had to be, and the septic did. It was a
Yep, and then they
good stab at it.
took the shorter route with the driveway.
We took the path of let's get there quick.
Yeah.
So, we weren't involved. We did the plot plan, and then we kind of help toward CO and then obviously moving toward this phase.
So, I mean, to the history, you're saying that there was an application here for a site plan?
For this piece, 20 years ago, we had a subdivision with 9 lots, and I think we actually got the final approval on it. Because we went ahead, we did the test wells, we did all soil testing with the health department, septics were designed. I think we even ran bond numbers, because we were looking to post a bond and get the road going. And then the financial crisis hit. So Glenn pulled back and rescinded that application. A couple of years go by, we explored a 3-lot subdivision with Glenn. He pulled back. I don't think we ever made a formal submission with that. It was just sketches. Yeah. And then the applicant came along, fell in love with the piece, and wanted to put his house here. And he wants to share that with his son now. So, you know, the development here is 2 lots on 20 acres.
So what are you talking about with the plot plan?
Well, when they built the house recently on that lot, there was a plot plan submitted that showed a driveway that did a little meandering.
Oh, and they...
Yeah, we did that for the building permit. It wasn't in front of the planning board, it was strictly
Gotcha.
building permit.
All right,
Right.
no, I just...
The house was built within the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Within the last
Yeah.
2 years? Okay.
Yeah.
So now they want to subdivide it for 2 lots and create a new house lot, and then have a shared, but not have a separate driveway, have a shared driveway.
The shared driveway for 75%, then branch off.
And then it branches off. And your rationale behind that is you're trying to keep the rural character, you're trying to not disturb as many trees. I'm just kind of reciting what you were saying, so correct me if I'm wrong. And that would, you think that would have a better, it would be better for the character of the subdivision to not have 2 driveways.
Right, Mayor, this was an old farm, so elevation-wise, this obviously, looking at the driveway, the profile, this piece has got some grade to it, right, and this was all farmed at once, so this was all clear, barren, it was farmed, you know, before the 1930s to about mid-2000s, so if you take a trip by there, you can actually see Mother Nature starting to creep back in, the cedars are starting to grow up again, so we wanted to kind of keep that action going where it's Mother Nature's taking back over.
Okay.
I haven't been out to the property. Is the wooden fence existing or proposed?
Yeah, it's existing. Yeah, basically the tree line, the existing tree line is almost the boundary as you're looking, let's say, south and west.
So can you tell me what the zigzag lines represent on the, going up the edge of the driveway?
So we wanted to anticipate, so electric service was brought up to the home site, and there is a transformer there. We did a worst-case scenario that if there wasn't a sufficiently sized primary line, if we had to go down and grab power and bring another line up, you know, there's some disturbance associated with it. Optimally, we'd like just to try and tie into the transformer next to the house if possible, but that's a Central Hudson thing. I just wanted to make sure we were looking at everything from a disturbance standpoint.
So that's the limit of disturbance, that zigzag represents the limit of disturbance. Okay. Are you requesting any waivers?
Yes. Location of trees, just because this is farmland, and any tree that's on site is it's a small diameter cedar.
It's all brush. It's all brush.
It's all scrub brush, starting to move back in, yeah.
So we've been told that before, not by you, not by you, but we have been misrepresented as to where
There was a fire
the,
there a couple of years ago, within the last 10 years.
it was fields within the last 10 years?
Yeah.
Right. But you're proposing a very small amount of disturbance anyway, so. I mean, would you have any objection just to showing trees within the areas of disturbance?
Yeah, we could. I mean, the trees are going to be less than 8 inches, 12 inches in diameter. If they're 6, I'd be surprised. There may be N8, maybe, small cedar. I encourage you to take a look at the site if you want to put eyes on it.
Yeah. I think I'd rather do that before I make a decision on a waiver right now. Okay, and the slopes, well, let me ask my standard questions I always ask. Are there any areas of chronic ponding or potential wetlands on the site?
No, this is old farm field, so, diversion swales were installed to keep the fields dry, so where there are existing swales, we would be crossing them. There's actually existing culverts now. So there is a lot of grade on the site, so there are no areas of ponding where the driveway is and where the house site is going to be going.
As far as where the areas of disturbance are there any, I mean, it seems like pretty heavy slopes. If you're telling me the current grade is 15% down by the bottom, does that mean those slopes down there are roughly 15%?
Yeah, there's 15, I mean, the site's going to have 10 and 15% grades on it, right? Our septic area is probably in the 10% grade area, but still allowed by Board of Health. Board of Health will allow anything under 15.
All right, so
That's
you're
what
going to
those
show
areas-
us the areas where there are steep slopes?
Yeah.
And in context of where your disturbance is.
Certainly.
Any other questions from the board members? Any feelings on whether we would consider, because that's what you're here for, is a discussion, right? So,
Discussions and initial application, obviously, we're here to receive comments and start the ball rolling, get involved agencies going. But, you know, as far as layout and position, you know, we'll play with lot lines and things like that to make sure zoning, and, conformance with lot width, things like that. But just, you know, this is the applicant's desire to put the house in this location, septic, and this is how he wants to access the site. So those are probably my big, you know, heavy hitter items, just to make sure we're okay there. And then anything else we can kind of work through technically. As we move.
Hey, Brian, where you show the potential for a driveway, just to cover things, is that where the gate is?
I believe, yeah, there is a gate down there, yes. Is it in that exact location? I don't know, to have to verify it, but.
I'm going to take a ride up there.
so as far as the, you
On a
know,
nice day, it's
Yeah.
picturesque.
as far as like your proposal to do a shared driveway, I'm not against that. I like the idea that you're trying to limit disturbance and you know, preserve the rural character. So I just want to know from board members if you guys have any issues with that.
And we, you know, as part of the code, we do make a provision that when and if that agreement ever did fall through, or owner disagreement or whatever, you can access the site with their own individual driveway.
Yeah, and notwithstanding the engineer's concerns that the slope is steep on that driveway. So, I mean, I would share that concern. We would be concerned that, you know, the existing driveway is steep, but, you know, if you're telling me it's slightly steeper than 10%, is it something we'd be willing to be flexible on to balance, you know? So, of course, I'd want to make sure that our fire department is okay with the access.
Right. Again, I encourage a site visit. You know, you got to put eyes on it. I mean, there is a section, I believe, that's probably about 14% existing, and then it tapers off from there. You know, you're probably averaging 11, maybe 12, but there is a steeper section in there. And,
Yeah.
you know, if we could meet out there, you know, with the fire department and, you know, just take a look.
Yeah, I don't have a big problem with that rule in specific because of what we're gaining as far as the design of the subdivision. But I'll defer, I will want to hear what our engineer has to say about that. All right, Dan, do you want to go through some of your issues?
Yeah, I think Brian touched on a lot of them, but, you know, just to reiterate that even though it might not appear to be wetland, the DEC did indicate that there could be potential in what they call informational wetlands on the east side of the east portion of the parcel. So we'll have to kind of go through that process of getting that JD from DEC. There's an intermittent stream shown on the NRI maps that's just on the northeast part of the parcel. And you can just use the GIS to kind of rough that in, the GIS contours to rough that in, but then apply the town's buffer from 155-52, and then just make sure that the alternative driveway isn't in that buffer, or else we'd have to consider, you know, a water resource permit for that as well. Rob mentioned this, but I'll just reiterate it too. Our code does require that anything over 15% is initially shown. So if you just run that on your elevation model and make sure that we don't have any slopes that are 15 or more. You know, that normally would go into the next phase of going into the 3 different categories, but just,
Yes.
I kind of looked at it, I didn't think that there were a lot of areas over 15, but go ahead and run that through, if you would. This one I just couldn't tell because of scale of the map, but if you can have a center line of the road drawn in and then offset it to 25 feet, and if there are areas where the town right-of-way needs to be extended to meet that 25 feet, then we would be asking for that.
You're going to need that. I remember that from the original application, so we'll include that next submission.
Okay. So some of the things with the existing driveway, you know, it does get pretty steep pretty quickly, and our code requires certain things like you can't, if the driveway is over a certain length, which is 200 feet is what they say, within that first 200 feet, it can't exceed 10%, and the profile shows that it does right now. So there's some things that have to be looked at on the existing driveway, whether or not there could be some minor improvements possibly, as opposed to a whole improvement. You know, paving, the width, the clear width, all that. And then, of course, with a driveway of this length and those slopes, we really need to make sure that water isn't running down towards the town road at extreme speeds. We want to have control of the roadside or driveway side drainage. So design of swales that are non-erosive and things like that, so that we don't have erosion and water problems hitting Duncan Road. Those are really the big issues. I did meet with the fire advisory board on this. And they didn't necessarily have any issues with those percentages of the slopes. They did want to make sure that it would support their fire apparatus, of course, which is a code requirement anyway. And they did mention also that there are some emergency vehicle pull-offs that are kind of evident from the aerial that looked like they were started to be constructed. And they wanted to see that lower one developed a little bit further as part of this as well. So those are really the big ticket items at this point.
What material you're proposing for the road?
So right now it's millings. So if we're going to be in those upper thresholds of driveway grade, it's going to have to be paved. And that's usually, pavement would probably, it obviously would happen before CO. So it, you know, have construction happen, you know, rebed, and then shoot grades before we pave, and then pave.
Yeah, a lot of times with shared driveways, you have to recognize that a lot could be sold to somebody else, so you really have to have agreements in place, and a lot of times you want to have that construction done before the sale or transfer of a lot. That way, you know that the common portions are done. So there's some things, you know, on the process of how we're going to have to deal with this that'll be worked out with the legal documents.
All right, well, I definitely would like to see a steep slope analysis, and then, like I said, the trees within the areas you're proposing for disturbance, and we could talk about waiving the rest, but that's, I mean, I'm just giving you comments now for discussion. Any other issues?
So you're concerned about disturbance from the existing driveway to the new driveway?
No, just, he's not proposing to disturb that area. He's just proposing to disturb the area where the driveway is and up to the house. And if it's their intention not to disturb the vast majority of that lot, I don't see a reason why we would require them to do tree locations. Of course, the caveat would be if the plan changes and you decide to move the driveway or the area of disturbance changes, I would want to have trees shown in anywhere that's being disturbed. So, but I would like to see a slope analysis, because I'd like to kind of know what the potential for development in the future would be.
You're kind of limited with road frontage here.
With very limited road frontage, right? That's true.
Road frontage is, I mean, again, I looked at this for Glenn, so there was 3 lots max, and that was with positioning your lot lines into certain positions, so you'd really, with the way home position is right now, it's gonna be 2 lots,
I see.
unless zoning changes.
Would there be, and I don't know if that's your client, if you're the client, but would you be at all interested in establishing a conservation area? What I mean is, what we've done in the past is areas that remain undevelopable, establish a conservation easement over it. That doesn't mean people come to use it as a park, it just means it's protected from development in the future. Is that something you'd be interested in doing? All right. I think, yeah, I think this is a good plan. Obviously, he could come in with a 12-lot subdivision, and then we would be fighting with you down to 2 lots, but you're being genuine about your design here, and I appreciate that.
Well, you remember when it was brought before us before, right?
I don't.
Don't check for it.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I'm losing my memory. Go ahead, you want to talk?
I'm John Polkinsley, I'm the applicant. My parents are here with me and my partner. I wanted to clarify a couple things. The most recent point was the conservation area, absolutely. We've kept 99% of the lot untouched. The goldenrods are coming in, the trees that are new, I don't know how many years old they are, but they're short pines. So we're going to try to disturb as few as possible, obviously. The proposed driveway that goes down to the gate that you know about, it sounds like the board overall would prefer if the driveway stayed shared to reduce the amount of disturbance. Totally fine with that. If that's what the board prefers, then we'll absolutely keep it shared. The proposed driveway at that sliver of land down to the street it doesn't have to exist. What's over there right now from the gate up to the back of the lot, which is on the lot line of the public park, has no trees on it. It looked like somebody who came before us long ago drove up and down that area. It's just goldenrods and other flowers growing. The stream that passes by is very close to that gate, so you mentioned that would be a problem for a future driveway. If that is going to be the case, then another reason to just not do it, to keep the driveway shared. Additionally, you mentioned the future sale of the property sort of affects the decision-making on the driveway. This lot, the 20 acres that's there now, that's the subject of the application, is family land now. It's in a trust. My parents are part of the trust, and my brother and I are the trustees. It's family land. There's no plans to sell it, not at least until I am quite old. So
Okay.
pray to God I have that many years left, but it wouldn't be a concern of this board, certainly. So this would be family land, and it would stay that way for the foreseeable future. So the other points about the emergency pull-offs on the aerials, they are there. You can see them. I've actually used them to get out of the way of delivery trucks before. They do exist. The driveway, as of right now, is planned to be finished in a more complete way. We tried to plan it last year, but time went by. This winter was quite insane, so we didn't get a chance to get that measured up. But we do have plans to do that soon. We have somebody that we're in contact with to take care of that.
Yep.
Paving is the idea, and oil and stone up at the top near the house. The grade is quite steep at the beginning. It is kind of an uphill, and then, like Brian said, it kind of tapers off and becomes pretty consistent all the way to the top where the house is. So we could take care of that, but like the profile showed, it's a pretty steep cut that you'd have to make to keep it at 10%. You are digging quite a canyon, and you're digging out what is an established driveway that's been packed down quite nicely. So it would be a pretty serious disturbance. So I'm hoping we can, waive that a little bit, find some flexibility in there. So, but overall, the assessment's accurate. Again, we're trying to avoid disturbing too much of the land. The trees that would be involved in what we're asking for a waiver for is the short pines that, if I could give an analogy, effectively Christmas tree height. That's what's there now. I have pictures on my phone. Unfortunately, I don't have them printed to give you, but I could show you exactly what's there. Or I'm around most afternoons. We can walk the lot, certainly. The wetland concern, I know is actually quite a chunk of the bottom of the lot. What's there now, the plant life, we've walked that area, it's the same as what's at the top of the lot. It's brushland from the previous farming activity that was, seized in the early 2000s, late 90s. And there are drainage channels that were carved into that land already. So that may have informed kind of the declassification. There's 3 or 4 channels that are actually quite deep that were dug by the farmer who farmed this land probably over 100 years ago, frankly, based on the aerials going back to the 30s. Those channels go all the way down the hill onto the next lot, and that may influence sort of the water situation, the wetland situation, so.
Yeah. All right, thanks for that explanation, I appreciate it. It sounds wonderful that your family's working together on that subdivision together. Peter?
Thinking of, you mentioned a trust, and thinking of what happened in Frog Hollow.
Yeah, I don't exactly know the formation of that trust, of some sort of I guess it was a living trust, but they had to have the trustees and all the people sign as applicants and owners. I think that was the complication, because they just needed to make sure that all of the transfers were legitimate and accepted by all of the owners, and so I think that's what created that issue. But I did ask Brian for a copy of the deed, which, and if it's in the deed to the trust now, then our town attorney will help deal with that when that comes along.
All right. Do we have any other comments from the board?
So it doesn't kick you in the ass in the future if he wants to sell.
Say that again?
So it doesn't kick you in the butt in the future if one of the parties wants to sell.
It depends on the terms of the trust and the authority granted to the trustees. Irrevocable trust, revocable trust? Likely irrevocable.
We have a copy of the deed with us, but the trust it's myself, my older brother, and my parents, and it's purely for the purpose of estate planning.
Yeah, so likely irrevocable. So there's probably a life estate. Whether or not they could sell the property later, that's the terms of the trust that govern that. If the applicant wants to share it with us, and I'm not saying that you have to, it's really none of our business.
We had a problem over on the other side of town with a parcel, and it was on Frog Hollow, and it was in a trust.
Okay.
And that's why I bring the subject up in the first place.
That's where they all had to sign. So the entire family's here, the trustees and the grantors, so they can all sign as applicants.
I think the problem then was some of the trustees, either they weren't able to contact them, or there was some question as to whether they all agreed.
If there's a dispute and
so-
they must all agree, then that's a very different situation than everyone being.
I mean, it's a good point. We need to be aware of.
So you and your brother
the
are both
ownership
co-trustees?
Yeah, we're co-trustees, and we actually brought a copy of the deed and the transfer.
Did you both sign the application?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we both did. It's irrevocable as of 2024, and the whole thing's here.
Okay, you're fine then.
You mean the application to the planning board?
Yeah.
No, they did not both
Okay,
sign.
then they'll both
so
need to
they'll
sign.
both have to sign, yeah.
And they both.
And that's why I need the deed, to be able to know if the
They both have
application
legal
is
title,
sufficient,
so
yeah.
they'll both have to,
And
if
the-
you want to do an
and
affidavit.
the owner has to
of
sign.
ownership.
The
They are the
owner-
owners. Well, so there's, yes,
trustees.
technically again, getting into the terms of the trust, the trustees have legal title to the property, so that would satisfy me for making the application. The families are here, the grantors are here. If the planning board wants them to, I'm sure they'd be happy to sign the application also as grantors. They have the beneficial ownership.
Gotcha.
The owners were the ones that signed the consent and had it notarized on the application, so everybody's aware.
Yep.
The whole thing went up.
Yeah. I don't have any other concerns or issues at this point. I'd say go ahead and move forward, and I guess you're going to come back with more detailed plans.
Yeah, and we'll try to get together with the highway superintendent out there and make sure about the beginning part of the driveway and see what we can come up with on that end. Brian, you did ask also for another waiver, 130-18D, for the scale of the map to not smaller than 60 feet to the inch. So if the board wants to consider that one, they can. It's a big piece of property, so the plat is showing at 1 inch is 100 feet, and the development plan is 60 scale, so. So they're asking for a waiver to allow that 100 scale plat to continue on with us, which.
The requirement is for 60, but they're showing it at 100?
Yeah.
Right,
It's
yeah.
just a matter of paper size. It's either that or we have them do a whole bunch
No,
of match lines and a whole bunch of
And then end up
sheets.
splitting it up
Yeah.
into multiple sheets, and I like it better. I like to see the whole thing on the same sheet, especially with a subdivision like this that has so little, it's only 2 lots, so there's a little detail. You don't have to worry about that issue. I wouldn't have a problem with granting that. What do you guys think?
That makes sense.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion to grant the waiver to allow for the scale of the subdivision to not have to meet the requirement of the code,
130-18D.
130-18D.
That the scale be 100 feet, right?
1 inch is 100 is what they're proposing, yeah.
All right, so, yeah, we'll add that so that it's 1 inches to 100. I made the motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I think that's it.
All right. Okay, Samana Estates. Oh,
Hello.
there you are.
How are you? So we were last in front of the board in September. We got conditional approval. I know there's a couple new faces, so my name's Amy Patain from LRC, and this is Samana Estates. It's a 5-lot subdivision in the R45 district, which again, we went through conditional approval and granted that in September of 2025, and we're just back to request an extension for that conditional approval.
Okay, so what's left outstanding?
We're working through the legal agreements and the forms, and that's pretty much it. We have sign off from the owner and Department of Health, so as soon as the legal agreements are squared away, we can drop off the plans to be signed by you.
Dan, can I ask the obvious question here? Or at least obvious to me. We went through this whole nightmare of the whole tree thing and how all that went. My only question is like, why is this taking so long to get through all the pieces? If we went, like, why would we have like initially gone through that pain press of doing that if we're still dealing with all these provisions to get to where we need to be?
Well, I think if you want, I can answer this or she can answer this, but in my opinion, what happened is once they went out of the bounds, there had to be some significant changes to the plan again, and now new legal documents and now new conditions of a resolution that changed the plan quite a bit, actually, in terms of, I think they had to add a couple sheets, actually, just to show landscaping and phasing of landscaping and how it's going to be maintained by homeowners, and so it became more of a difficulty, and then just the legal behind that now had to get a little bit more intense.
Okay.
So I would venture to say that had something to do with it.
And then did you guys reach agreements with the neighbors? Because we don't have privy to that, but I'm just asking the question.
What do you mean, agreements
I
with the
think there
neighbors?
was questions on trees that were knocked down on the neighbors on the one side and whether there was restitution there and all that other.
Yes, that was handled outside of this, but yeah, the last time we were here, the neighbor was also here, and there was an agreement between the applicant and the neighbor.
Okay. New members, just want to make sure we're all.
Yeah, not a problem.
Eric, did you want to learn any more about this subdivision at all, or?
No, I've read up on it in past minutes and everything, so I'm pretty caught up, so, yeah.
Right. I mean, basically, it's a conditionally approved subdivision. And it's incumbent upon the applicant to just complete the conditions, and then once they do, and oftentimes, probably most times, we have to extend the period because they can't get the conditions done.
Right.
A lot of times it's because of the health department, but yes, we did have to go back and we asked for new conditions and, changes, and that extended the timing of the project.
We also made some revisions to the agreements for the covenants for the stormwater infrastructure and the requirements for maintenance and the town's authority to recoup any funds expended if they have to step in and make a repair because the lot owner failed to. Because there's drainage infrastructure on Lot 5 in that L shape, and then lots 1 and 2, there's pipes that run into the driveways with riprap and swales, so we just want to make sure that they're properly maintained, because Dan told me there's issues with flooding along Greenhaven Road, so we don't want to contribute to that and cause an issue on either Beekman or Greenhaven Road, so that's all been approved by us internally and sent over to the applicant's attorney who agreed to it, and I think they're just finalizing the documents for signature now.
Are you still maintaining all the erosion control measures?
From the last time we were here, I believe the site has been stabilized from the issue it was having with, the erosion and the water, so.
Yeah. And how did they stabilize the site?
I'm not sure.
Has anyone from our code enforcement checked to see if it's continuing to be maintained, the erosion control measures?
I drove by it on the way in, but I'm not familiar with the erosion control.
I know a lot of brushy kind of stuff came up pretty quick, actually. But I don't know if the silt fence is still up out there or not. I think it may be.
All right, can we direct
I could
can we
go out and
direct
check.
them to, or the code enforcement officer to go out and check the erosion control measures to make sure they're being maintained? Or verify that it is stabilized as you're suggesting. And that would be with, vegetative stabilization. Did they plant the seed mix? Did the seed mix take? Are there any bare areas of soil? Is there erosion happening? All of that.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been the planting of the seeding that was going to be proposed for the houses.
Right, I can verify the stabilization method.
Yeah, usually those temporary erosion control mixes are usually annual grasses. So they only last a certain amount of time before they die off.
Right, understood.
Yeah, so.
And there wasn't like 4 feet of snow on top of it.
Right, exactly. And it's subject to flooding in the one corner, and so that's why I worry about that sort of thing.
So Dan, if the code enforcement officer goes out there, they're going to be able to report back to the planning board, or we get a letter from her, or how's that going to go?
I think any way you want to direct that corresponds to you would be fine.
Mr. Chairman, are you okay with that? Maybe have them issue a letter to the board so we have that?
Yeah.
Should be a matter
reporting
of
on
record.
Yes, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, if they could, do we need to vote on a motion for that, or you think, or?
No, that could just be administrative to inform the code enforcement officer to go inspect the site based on prior agreements for erosion control, given the issues with moving too many trees.
And report
She could
back
just
to us
report back.
with a letter, with a letter to the board.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, so when do you anticipate do you have any timeline on when you think these agreements
Like I
will
said,
happen?
we're just waiting on the back and forth between the town attorney and our attorney on the agreements, and as soon as we get town attorney's sign off, we can.
I'm signed off.
You're,
I've communicated with Ken.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
he's
great.
aware. He has a couple questions, but they're not going to inhibit them signing the agreement and sending it back to us, so that's
okay, great.
resolved.
All right, so they're asking for a 90-day extension. Do you,
Yeah, so just for the way it goes down mathematically here, September 18th, 2025 was the date of the conditional approval. New York State Town Law is 180 days, which brings you to March 17th, 2026. So technically 2 days ago. If you add 90 days to that, it would be June 15th, 2026, or would we add the 90 days to today's date? That's the question I have for our
They had their
attorney.
second 180-day extension under the town law.
They've only had the 180 days so far, so this is their first request for a 90-day extension.
They get 280.
You can ask for 2 90-day extensions after the first 180 expires,
Under the town law or the code?
under our town code.
Under your code?
Yeah.
The code's different, yeah.
Yeah.
So they'd be doing a 90, just measure it from today, so.
Measure from today. So that would be...
Actually, no, you want to backdate it 2 days ago because.
Backdated to the,
Yeah,
okay, so
because
we
it technically
backdated to
expired.
March 17th, then that would, 90 days would bring it to 6/15/2026, or June 15th, 2026.
When's the June meeting?
It's after that. The June meeting is on the 18th.
So if you go another 90, you need to apply in May.
Okay.
Because you should have applied for this last month to have it effective, the date you expired. Technically, you're expired, which isn't good for you. So we'll backdate it to that date, but just make sure the applicant's aware that
Understood.
if they hit the next 90 days, come in May, that way it can be approved by the board in advance of the expiration.
Understood, thank you.
Sounds like you're close anyway, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds like it'll be done before then.
Do I have a motion to grant the extension to June 15th, 2026?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, final application would be Green Hill Farm. And this is for an extension. Is there anyone
Yeah,
here for Green Hill Farm?
I spoke to the engineer and the attorney, and they were both conflicted this evening. But I can just report to the board that there's one condition remaining about the Speedies permit, some of the paperwork for the Speedies permit. So they are also in the same exact spot. They're ready to submit. I told them to submit the Mylars. So they're right here. And they were the same date, so technically they were through March 17th as well, but we needed to move on the 90 days. This would be their first requested extension period.
So why, just a question, for the Speedies permit, why would we wait for that as a condition? They can presumably get a Speedies permit without us having to extend the project so long.
It was all part of the SWIP and the way we had structured the resolution before, so there were some questions that needed to be answered that took them a little bit of time to get to, but they got through it.
Yeah. I'm just thinking for future applications, we may want to have them complete the SWIP, because what if DEC doesn't approve the SWIP and there are changes?
Yeah, technically, we're the MS4, so we're responsible for approving it, and maybe I was too tough on the question. I don't know, but I
right.
made them prove a few things to me.
Oh, okay, so it's us, all right.
Yeah, because we're responsible for administering the Speedies program on behalf of the state, because we're designated MS4.
Right, but it may carry more weight if we make them wait for you to demonstrate concurrence with the Speedies requirements, before we issue the conditional approval,
Yeah, it was that, and then they also did work with the health department. They did their well testing on some of their existing wells there and all that, so there was
The health
a
is
lot of
always,
stuff,
the health department they work on their own thing, and we have no authority or control over the timing of that, so we usually, that's fine. All right, so does the board have any objections to, what are they requesting, how many days?
So 90 days would be the requested extension.
So we'd be requesting it to the same,
Same to the June 15th.
June 15th. Okay, do I have a motion to extend it to June 15th?
So move.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? Anybody want to discuss it anymore? We're good?
No,
All
we're
right.
good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes? Okay. I guess at this point, we'll just take a motion for closing the meeting.
Chairman, may I make a motion to close the meeting, please?
I will second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Meeting's closed. Thank you, guys.